Well, good day to you, wherever you're coming from. I'm here in Seattle. My name is Jeff Udick, and glad to be with you today. We are going to be talking about how do you grow your personal learning network. And I've got my software set up here to do a little picture-in-picture as we go around the web. I was going to do this on my phone, except I don't know if you can see this very well. I actually dropped my phone the other day and cracked the screen, which I wasn't too upset about because I figured I'd fit in with every high school kid I've ever met. The problem is it also ruined the LCD screen, so it doesn't work whatsoever. So I'm on my little backup phone that doesn't have nearly the camera or functionality as my other one. So I'm here in the office at my home in Seattle, Washington. Coming with you today. We're going to talk about how do you grow your personal learning network and what does that mean, and hopefully walk you through some ideas here. Number one, the thing that we say that technology can do most for kids and for the classroom is to, you hear this phrase all the time, break down the walls of the classroom, which is great. And I 100% agree with that. But in order to do that, us as educators need to be connected outside of the walls of our classroom. The walls don't just break down because you've given every kid a device or kids all of a sudden have access to computers. We have to do the work as educators. So we're going to talk about three things today that I hope will help kind of get you to build your own, get outside the walls of your classroom so that you can get your students outside the walls of your classroom. So the three things we're really going to talk about today is number one, how to manage it. And we're going to talk about a managing tool. That's kind of what you're looking at here behind me. This is a management tool for social networks. And we're going to talk about that because you have to be able to manage it. If you're going to get outside the walls of your classroom and become a connected educator, you have to know how to manage your feeds. And so we're going to talk about some tools that hopefully you can use to help manage your feeds, because that's number one. Number two, then we're going to talk about where do you find people and how do you make sure you're following the right people. And we're actually going to take a different approach on this. We're not going to be looking at people as much as we're going to be looking at communities. We start with communities and then we find the people within those communities that are worth following. And then lastly, we're going to be looking at some other places other than, say, Twitter. Twitter is what we're going to focus on for the first half. But there's some other really great places that teachers are coming together to share knowledge and share what they are working on. So as we get started, number one, managing your social networks. Now, there's a couple different tools out there. We're going to talk a lot about Twitter because for some reason, I don't know why, educators have decided that Twitter is probably the best tool. There are hundreds of thousands, if not, I would guess millions of teachers on Twitter at this point. So if you want to get connected, and no matter what your feeling is about Twitter, Twitter is a place where teachers are, and it's worth signing up and getting an account. So we're going to start with Twitter because that is where we see the most success with people getting connected outside their classrooms. What you're looking at here is a social network managing tool called Hootsuite. It's Hootsuite, Hootsuite. And I like Hootsuite. Number one, it's actually used not just for education, but this is actually used by corporations to manage their social networks. So you're using a tool that is very robust and is used by companies, not just by education, which I think is really important. There's another one out there called TweetDeck. TweetDeck is really nice. The one thing I would say is different is TweetDeck really focuses on Twitter, where Hootsuite actually allows you for free. You can connect in. If I click up here in this top left-hand corner, you can kind of, you're not going to be able to see that, but I can connect different social networks here. So here you notice I've got the little bird. So these are all my Twitter feeds here. I've got my Facebook connected in. You can connect in your Google Plus. You can connect in your Instagram. So that it allows you to really manage different social networks. This really is where I start every day. And once you have Hootsuite set up, and it has videos that'll take you through it, it's worth spending your summer seeing those videos being made in July. Take some time, take a weekend to really understand how this works. Now, what you're seeing here is you're seeing different streams. And this is what I like about a social network manager, is it other than just like, if you go to your Twitter app or you just go to twitter.com, you just see your stream, but there's so many other components that are going on behind the scenes that it's good to kind of figure this out. So what you're looking at here is these are direct messages to me. Here are my tweets because I want to make sure that things that I've tweeted are going out. And so you see, I just tweeted a little second ago because you can set up in here that it'll auto schedule tweets. So I tweeted that I was going live with this Facebook. Here are my Facebook posts. Here are my mentions. If other people mention me, so Melissa mentioned me on Facebook on July 29th, 2016. So that is here as well. And you can add or you can customize this for however you would like to. I'm trying to move the bar, but it doesn't seem to be moving. There we go. And you can see different activities here as well. So also the other thing I like is you can set up, and we're going to talk about this in a little bit, but you can set up tabs here across the top. So across the top here, you'll see I've got like a list tab and I've got a conference tab. So on Twitter, one of the things, and this is where we're going to head into, is Twitter is not about people, it's about communities. And that is a switch for a lot of people. But if you can think of communities first, you then find the people within those communities worth following. And that's how you grow your personal learning network, is we start with communities. So I have a tab here in my Hootsuite that is just conferences that I follow. And what I'll do is if I can't make it to a conference, but I really want to go to that conference, I'll find the hashtag for that conference. This year, for example, I wasn't able to make it to ISTE. And so if I just move this over a little bit, does it move over on my screen? I think it does. I have the hashtag ISTE here. Where I can follow everything that's going on. I'll move it over so it's in the middle of my screen here. So here's everything that was going on in ISTE in 2017. So even though I wasn't able to go to the conference, I was able to follow along with the conversation. Now ISTE's over, but of course the hashtag still lives on for a little bit. People haven't been posting a whole lot. But the nice thing is I can go back in time and I can see every tweet used with this hashtag. And the hashtag this year was ISTE17. Now, these hashtags come and go. Anybody can make a hashtag or use a hashtag. It's just whenever you send a tweet out, you include that hashtag as part of your tweet. And that allows other people to follow that community. You'll also see I have another community here called just Google. I'll move this one over to the middle. Google EDU. This is a hashtag where Google Education, Google for Education tweets a lot here, but so do other people that are interested in Google for Education. And because I'm a Google App Certified Trainer, I'm trying to stay on top of what are some of the latest things coming out. How are ways that people are using the Google Apps in classrooms with students? And so that is a hashtag that I want to follow. Within that, then I start looking for people to follow. So for example, here's Alice Keeler. She's fantastic, worth following, but I follow her because of the stuff that she shares. I don't follow her just because I see her name here, right? But I can start reading, I start seeing what she's posting. And if I notice she's posting a lot of really good stuff, then that is somebody you want to add to your network. The last hashtag I have here under this conference list, this isn't actually a conference, but this is the hashtag BetPride, this is Bettendorf High School in Bettendorf, Iowa, who does a really great job of using their Twitter account with students. And so I'm constantly following what is happening at that high school in Iowa all the time as well. So those are just some of the ways that you can use this social network, because I can see different things at the same time, right? I've got all these different streams coming at me, and I'm allowed to basically slow it down, view it when I have time, and just be able to manage it a little more. So I really, number one, suggest you set up some kind of social media manager. This, again, is called Hootsuite. I'll make sure that all these links that I talk about today make it into the comments under the video as well. But it's a really great tool to get you set up and get started. Now, once you have some way to manage it, the next thing is to find your communities. Again, we're going to be talking about finding communities, not people, because you start with a community and then you find your people. And communities, for better or for worse, are around hashtags on Twitter. And if you've ever heard of hashtags or you've seen hashtags and never knew what they were for, hopefully this helps. So hashtags are just a way that we come together. It's a way for all of us. We don't have to follow each other. We don't even have to know who each other is. But if we use the same hashtag, we are putting all of our tweets or all of our information in one spot for all of us to find. This is probably one of my favorite pages. This is Cybrary Man's educational hashtags. And I love showing this to educators just because of all of the communities that are out there for you to become a part of. I mean, it's almost overwhelming when you start looking at all of these different communities of educators. I'll stop here for a second, and there's one right here that's ESL, right? If you are an ESL teacher, hashtag ESL will help you find other ESL teachers and talk about what are things that are going on in the ESL community. There's one over here called SS Chat, which is social studies chat. If you're a social studies teacher and you want to connect with other social studies teachers outside the walls of your classroom, you might want that hashtag. There are hashtags, we can keep scrolling through this. They go on forever. The couple of the best places to get started to grow your personal learning network is right over here to the right. You will notice that there are these chats. So I have first chat, second chat, third chat, fourth chat, fifth chat, sixth chat. That is a great place to get started. So these are chats that are constantly kind of going on. These refer to grade levels. So the way that this works is I either come here or I think to myself, what is a community that I'm looking for? That's when I head over to Twitter and I'll open up my Twitter, and up here in the top right-hand corner, there is a search box. And so what I can do is I just type in hashtag fourth chat. So this is fourth grade chat. And when I do that and click enter, I'm going to find that community. Now, when you get here, it gives you a couple of you'll notice that it lands on this top tab over here in the left-hand corner. These are kind of like the top post or the top people in this community. These are some of the top things that people have shared that have gotten a lot of retweets or a lot of likes within Twitter. So it's worth looking at. But my favorite is the next tab over up here, which is the latest. What is the latest thing people have been talking about? And so here we have somebody, Dana 2 hours ago posted something about her 9-year-old trip and fell, discovered a 1,000,000-year-old fossil. Just a lot of stuff that is being shared by fourth grade teachers for fourth grade teachers. Now think about this. If you're a fourth grade teacher and you want to connect your class outside the classroom, this is where you start to use Twitter and being able to send a tweet. And in part of your tweet, you put in hashtag fourth chat. And all of a sudden, everyone else that is looking at, watching, or as part of this community finds your tweet, and that's how we start making connections. And so whenever you're tweeting, you should always try to use at least one, if not a couple different hashtags to get into those different communities, because a lot of people follow these and they are so, so powerful. The other one I showed you on that sheet was SS Chat. So this is a social studies chat. If you're a social studies teacher, here are things that social studies teachers are talking about. Again, one of the things I love is it's just a great way to this is how I find people, right? So I'm coming through here and I'm seeing that Pete is doing a lot of stuff. What are the other hashtags that he's using? He looks like he's UK EdChat, so that probably tells me either he's sharing something with the UK or he's from the UK. If I click on his name, I can actually find out more about him, or if I just hover over his name, I can find out more about him if I want to. And that's then when I would make the decision to follow him and then decide to have him become part of my personal learning network. But the hashtag is so important. Another hashtag that I really like if you're trying to get your kids outside of the classroom is one called Comments for Kids. And if you've ever been to any of my trainings, you'll know that this is one of my favorites. I'm actually getting ready to teach a university course next week, and all of the university students will have to leave comments for kids. So this is Comments for Kids. This is a hashtag that is used by educators when your students publish something publicly on the internet and you would like to get comments from around the world. This is where you publish it. You just a link to that student piece of work. It could be a video, a photo, a blog post. It could be a Google Doc that you turn public. It doesn't matter what it is. You turn it public, and then you can share it using the hashtag Comments for Kids, and other teachers will come here and leave comments, or other teachers bring their classes here and students help give other students comments. It's just a really great hashtag. It's also a really great place for teachers as you're growing your personal learning network to see what are other teachers having kids create publicly. Everything on here has to be public, otherwise nobody'd be able to see it. So I love coming here just to get ideas of what are other teachers having kids do. And again, that's just hashtag comments for kids. Notice again up here in the top left-hand corner, I've clicked on the latest link, so I get the latest blog posts that come. There's all kinds of these out here, and one of the things I love, say what you want about where we are with Common Core and standards and all of that. One of the nice things about all of that, about this movement is everybody is pretty much teaching the same thing at the same time. So if I'm a third grade teacher, right, and it's during the school year, which it isn't right here. It's July here in the States, so there's not a whole lot going on in schools. But during the school year, I would type in hashtag third chat and be able to see what is everybody else doing. And because we are all teaching almost the same standard at the same time around the US and around the world for the most part, we get the same stuff. We get a ton of resources here that we can use and help each other out with. And to me, that's pretty cool. I have had such great success on just, I'm going in to help a fifth grade teacher. I go hashtag fifth chat, see what's going on. What are other people doing? What are other ideas that I have to help teachers in the classroom? So just a great way. Start with your communities around hashtags, and then move into finding people to grow your personal learning network on Twitter. Now, the other place, so first of all, find some way to manage. Find a management tool. I recommend Hootsuite, but there's other ones out there if you want to play around. Number 2, find your communities via hashtags, then find your people. And lastly, it's not just all on Twitter. One of the best networks that I've been at lately is Google+. Now, a lot of people think of Google+ as being dead. You'll hear a lot of things on the news that Google+ is over with. The problem is there are a lot of educators on Google+. It's another virtual staff room that educators hang out on. And so it's a great place to go and connect, especially if your school uses Google Apps. There's a ton of Google Apps groups, but it's not just exclusive to Google Apps. It's worth signing up for a Google+ account. You'll notice up here at the top, there's a search bar, so you can search for something very specific that you want to look for. And again, it's all about the communities. And so when you sign up for Google+, you can find these communities. And here I have these communities that are just recommended to me. So I just log into my Google+ page, and I have communities that are recommended to me. And here, just to show you the size of some of these. So this first one here is just Google Apps Educators. There's 48,000 people. In that, if you want to know ways to use Google Apps in education, there's 48,000 other educators in here sharing, asking questions, bouncing ideas. It's pretty incredible. If you use Chromebooks with your students, this one over here to the far right, for everyone for what's next, right? This is about Chromebooks. It's 103,000 people sharing about Chromebooks. Here's one that is 16,000 people. You kind of see it behind my head. I'll move it up a little bit. This is project-based learning. 16,000 people in a community about project-based learning. And all you have to do is see a little green here that's accept. This one I've already, Educators for Change. They must have invited me. I've got a little accept button there. But also you'll notice under the members tab up here are ones that I'm a member of. And you can find all kinds of great things. So here's one of my favorites. It's a small group, only about 3,000 people, called 20% Time in Education, otherwise known as Genius Hour. And it's a small group, but small sometimes is good. You can have better conversations. People are focused on what that community is about. So this community is about giving kids 20% time to work on a passion project, which is a great something I'm personally interested in. And so I've joined that community as well. Here's a one-to-one with Chromebooks community that has 1,100 people. Here's Google for Education group, 217,000 people that I belong to. There's Google Classroom. If you use Google Classroom with students, there's a community here of 124,000 people. And just to show you that this is a place where educators come and hang out. And again, it's about communities. I don't follow per se a lot of people on Google Plus, but what I do is join the communities that are worth it for me. That's how you grow your personal learning network. Find the communities that grow for you and then become part of that community. Once you find communities that are passion to you, then you start posting to them. The last one I would say within Google Plus is if you're a Google education, Google Suite school, or use Google Apps with your students, every state, and now as far as I know, every country that you can get Google Apps in has what is called a GEG group. And so here you can see at the top of my screen, I have GEG Idaho, GEG Oregon, which stands for Google Education Group Idaho and Google Education Group Oregon. We have one here for the state of Washington. And because I'm a Google trainer, I'm one of the moderators of it. But it is such a great place. We now have over 1,000 people just for the state of Washington that use Google Apps. So when we talk about breaking down the walls, it doesn't always have to be global. It can also be local. And so here we have 1,000 educators from just across our state who are getting together and talking about what's professional development coming up. If you're having an issue with Google Apps that day, it's just a really great small community that then we can get together and we can, have meetups within our community as well. So again, another great place to go. So to grow your personal learning network, 3 things that we've talked about today that I think to get you started. 1, find a management tool, some kind of social management tool. I like Hootsuite because it allows me to use more than one social media. So I have in my Hootsuite, I have my Twitter in here, I have my Facebook in here, I have my Google Plus in here. So I go to one place and I get to see all of my social networking in one place. You can hook your Instagram in here as well now. You get 5 accounts for free, and then I think it's $9.99 a month if you really get into this, and it's worth every penny. So that's number 1. Find a way to manage your social media in streams that allow you to see a lot of information. Number 2, find your communities. Don't worry about people first. Find the right communities. Within those communities, you will find the people worth following. But find a community. Spend some time checking out different hashtags. Do a search on Twitter with the different hashtags. This is the 3rd grade chat. Who's out here? Who shares really good stuff? Who do we see that is constantly participating, and people who are active? If I find people that are active, that's when I click the follow button. But only if I really see you active and sharing great stuff, then I follow you personally. And lastly, check out Google Plus. There's some great educational communities in Google Plus as a way to grow your personal learning network, both locally within your state or within your community and globally around the world. So I hope that helps. Thank you for joining me, and we'll see you next time on the next Facebook Live.